I've been sent to track down the men I used to run with. Track them, kill them. Our old leader, fella you probably heard of. Anyway, he more or less lost his mind, went and shot a bunch of people unfair like. I got shot in a robbery. They left me, and I left them.
I still remember 2014 like it was yesterday. A friend had told me about Red Dead Redemption on the PlayStation 3, and little did I know it would become my first journey into the Wild West. Even though it released in 2010, Red Dead Redemption offered an experience unlike anything I had ever played before. As a longtime fan of Rockstar, I was no stranger to open world games thanks to GTA, but this was different. This was slower, more atmospheric, and more immersive. Going into Red Dead Redemption, I had no idea what I was walking into. I had never played a Western themed game before, and I will admit, I skipped Red Dead Revolver on the PS2. When I finished the story, I walked away loving the experience, even if there were some flaws in the gameplay and pacing. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into the world of Red Dead Redemption. In my Red Dead Redemption 2 review, I said Rockstar set the gold standard for open worlds, but it all began with Red Dead Redemption. In 2010, Rockstar created something that felt alive, immersive, and atmospheric in ways most studios still fail to replicate today. Too often, modern developers use open world as an excuse to pad out playtime. Rockstar understood something crucial. It's not about the size of the map, it's about what you do within it. New Austin and the Mexican frontier were breathtaking for their time. The shift in color palette, the architecture and landscapes when crossing the border instantly made the world feel larger and more varied. But what really stuck with me wasn't the shootouts or horseback rides, it was the quiet moments. I remember finishing some hunting challenges, making coffee and setting up camp. When I returned to the pause menu, I didn't move. I just sat there, watching John by the fire, listening to wildlife and faint music in the background. For 10 minutes, I simply absorbed the atmosphere. It reminded me of moments in my own life. As a cigar smoker, I'll often sit by my fire pit with scotch and put on some slow blues or jazz music and let the world fade away. That's the kind of immersion Rockstar achieved. They made a video game feel like a personal therapeutic experience. What made this world even more memorable was the era it depicted, the dying days of the Old West. From the cobblestone streets and the telephone poles in Blackwater, to the first automatic pistols and automobiles. The setting instantly told you this wasn't the Wild West you've seen in most movies. It was the end of it. The second half of the story takes us into Mexico during the Revolution, blending real-life history into a fictional narrative. Rockstar didn't just create a western, they created a story about change, progress, and the people caught between. The game explores forgiveness, redemption, the cycle of violence, family, technology, and even the most casual racism as it was spoken in that era. Conversations overheard in the opening train ride, two elderly women discussing civilization taming the frontier, a daughter convincing her father that man could one day fly, set the backdrop perfectly. Within minutes, you know the time period and the tone, a world where the past is colliding with the future. No review of Red Dead Redemption would be complete without praising its sound design and soundtrack. From the creak of the wagons, to the chatter in towns, to the crack of a revolver, everything feels authentic. But it's Woody Jackson's score that ties it all together. Acoustic guitars, harmonicas, whistling, and violins give that game its heart. Tracks like So Far Away by Jose González don't just accompany the gameplay, they elevate it, turning travel into reflection and combat into tragedy. It's a soundtrack I still listen to outside of the game because of how therapeutic and atmospheric it is. Of course, the gameplay isn't perfect. Rockstar has never been known for smooth controls, and in Red Dead Redemption 1, running was awkwardly mapped, making movement clunky. At the time, I forgave it. It was my first Western shooter. But looking back, especially after Red Dead 2, it's clear Rockstar didn't learn in the 8 years. Still, the combat had its strengths. Revolvers and repeaters felt powerful, and Deadeye was a stand-up mechanic, allowing you to slow time and take down multiple enemies in cinematic fashion. Even with its flaws, Red Dead Redemption 1 set the benchmark for how to blend atmosphere with action. One of Rockstar's strengths has always been side content, and Red Dead Redemption perfected it. Strange missions weren't filler, they carried weight, moral ambiguity, and thematic depth. Take the Strange Man for example, a mysterious figure in a top hat who knows far too much about John's past. Every encounter feels unsettling, and by the end, it's clear he's foreshadowing John's fate.
Ain't this a beautiful spot?
Sure. What are you doing here?
My accounts. I'm an accountant.
Is that so?
In a way.
What's your name?
You know, it's the darndest thing. I can't remember.
Tell me your damn name and where you know me from.
Well, I know you from Mexico. I know you from back out west. I know you from all over.
Tell me your name or I won't be responsible for my actions.
Oh, but you will. You will be responsible. This is a fine spot. See you around, cowboy.
Damn you!
Yes, many have.
Or Clara's mission. You help a pregnant woman after her husband refuses responsibility. When you return later, you find her at his grave laughing. Was she lying? Were you manipulated? Rockstar leaves it up to you, highlighting the complexity of human nature. Outside of strangers, the game was filled with activities: bounty hunting, poker, blackjack, hunting challenges. Then there were the random encounters, bandits attacking travelers, escaped fugitives, stolen horses. These events didn't feel scripted, they felt natural, like the world was alive around you. At the heart of all this is John Marston, arguably Rockstar's best character at the time. Unlike GTA's one-dimensional anti-heroes, John was layered, a former outlaw, a reluctant gunslinger, a father, a man haunted by his past. He was serious but also witty, with dry humor and sharp insults that made him relatable.
Lisa, what are we going to do? I'm gonna hand you over to him and watch him tear you limb from limb. What? I'm just kidding.
One of my favorite dynamics is with Bonnie McFarlane. She's strong, honest, and self-reliant, but also compassionate. When John reveals his past to her, it's a rare moment of vulnerability. It says a lot that he trusted her with a truth that he hid from almost everyone.
Miss McFarlane, I'm married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode in a gang. We robbed banks, trains, held people ransom. We killed people we didn't like. Bill Williamson was in that gang. Now, if I don't capture my former brother in arms, great harm will befall my family. Now, I don't suppose any of this is very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
No, I do understand. I had no idea. You poor man.
Even in this new country, memories don't really fade. My father was an illiterate Scot born on the boat into New York. He never saw his homeland, but to hear him talk about it, you'd imagine he only ever ate haggis and wore a kilt. And he hated the English for what they had done to his great-grandparents that he'd never met. People don't forget. Nothing gets forgiven.
That's true, especially when it comes to money. And you know, even now, after all his labors, my father's debts are still terrible. I worry every day about us losing the ranch. It would kill him.
My father died when I was 8 years old. His eyes were, well, let's just say he was blinded in a bar fight south of Chicago. My mother died during childbirth. She was a prostitute and he was her, well, I don't know what he was. So I was sent off to an orphanage and ran away and fell in with a gang.
My word. What a difficult life you've lived.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read, taught me how to see all that was good in the world. He was a great man in a way.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I've suffered for it. And that's the life I left, or tried to leave. Said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated killer, sent here to do all I can do well. Kill a man in cold blood so that another man may do his part to cut crime in an area And a rich man can be elected governor on the back of these promises.
Civilization is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston.
On the opposite side, we get characters like Nigel West Dickens, the over-the-top snake oil salesman, Seth, the unsettling grave robber, and Irish, the drunk stereotype who still manages to be funny. Each character adds flavour, balancing the seriousness of the main story with Rockstar's trademark eccentric style. John Marston's story begins when he's forced onto a train by the government, escorted by Pinkerton agents. At first, we don't know who these men are, but later we learn they are Edgar Ross and Archer Fordham. From the opening, Rockstar sets the tone perfectly. Passengers on the train discuss the world's changing times, and we immediately feel immersed in the setting. I honestly consider this one of gaming's best intros. It's simple, yet it instantly establishes John's role in the dying Old West. Throughout the journey, you meet colourful and often humorous characters, all while exploring New Austin's dusty vistas and the contrasting Mexican frontier. One of the most underrated moments is the first ride into Mexico, paired with Jose González's song, So Far Away. It's a quiet intermission, a chance to soak in the scenery. More importantly, it symbolises how far John has travelled from home, physically and emotionally. Looking back, it reminds me of Arthur Morgan's ride to Shady Belle in Red Dead Redemption 2. Both sequences serve as musical pauses, moments of reflection, and Rockstar clearly designed Arthur's scene as a nod to Red Dead Redemption 1. During the early missions, we encounter Bill Williamson, John's former gang brother turned enemy. Even with the context of Red Dead Redemption 2, I never found him easy to empathize with. John insists Bill surrender peacefully, yet his mockery and insults cut deep, making him feel like a man consumed by bitterness. Then there's Javier Escuela. In Red Dead Redemption 1, John's anger towards him is understandable, since Javier sided with Dutch and abandoned John. But with Red Dead Redemption 2 in hindsight, I noticed something subtle. During the gang split, Javier never aimed his gun at Arthur or John. That detail combined with his remark in Red Dead Redemption 2, if I was lost, I know he would do the same for me, makes me believe there was still a trace of brotherhood left in him. That's why in my playthrough, I spared Javier. Eventually, John is tasked with finding Dutch van der Linde himself. Meeting Dutch for the first time in Red Dead Redemption 1 is surreal. John's stories about him prove true, but there's also nostalgia to their exchanges. At times, Dutch still seems like the man who raised John, taught him to read, and preached about freedom, but that side of him is buried under paranoia and delusion. One encounter that stood out was Dutch's attempt to recruit Native Americans. On the surface, he seemed to sympathize with their suffering, but Red Dead 2 reframes this completely. He wasn't fighting for their cause, only using them as pawns. By the time John corners him at the fort, Dutch is broken. With nowhere left to run, he chooses to end his own life, uttering the haunting words, "Our time has passed." I felt conflicted. John completed his mission, but I wasn't relieved. Dutch's death felt like a closing of a chapter that neither man truly wanted to end.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Our time has passed, John.
After Dutch's fall, John returns to his family. His reunion with Abigail and Jack isn't the warm embrace we might expect. It's tense, laid with anger, jealousy, and unspoken fear. Abigail wonders if leaving the outlaw life was the right choice. John, though, insists they can live honestly as ranchers. These quieter chapters let us see John in a different light, not as a gunslinger, but as a husband and father trying to repair broken bonds. Jack, deeply traumatized by their past, fears losing his father again. Abigail carries her own doubts, while Uncle adds some humor but little else. I especially like the cattle mission with Bonnie McFarlane. It closes the loop with her storyline, while hinting at her unspoken affection for John. Sadly, it's the last time we see her, which felt like a missed opportunity. Just when life seems normal, the Pinkertons betray John. Agent Ross leads an assault on the ranch, forcing John to defend his family. Knowing what's coming makes this scene even harder. John steps outside into a hail of bullets, sacrificing himself so Abigail and Jack can live. It's heartbreaking, not just because John dies, but we realize Ross was right in one sense. An outlaw can't truly escape his past. On reflection, John had foreshadowed this moment earlier with Bonnie. People don't forget, nothing gets forgiven. That line hits harder once you know how his story ends. The eerie encounters with the strange men add another chilling layer, as if John's fate was sealed long before the final barn doors opened.
Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie, where the coyotes wail and the wind blows free. And when I die, don't bury me 'neath the western sky on the lone prairie.
The epilogue shifts to Jack Marston, and while I understand Rockstar's intent, showing the cycles of violence passed on to the next generation, I found it disappointing. Abigail's death happens off-screen with no explanation, and Jack's revenge mission against Ross feels underdeveloped. The level design is flat, and Jack doesn't have the same depth as his father, making him feel like an empty vessel for revenge. Personally, I think Rockstar missed a chance for multiple endings, one where Jack pursues vengeance, and another where he chooses peace, breaking the cycle his parents wanted him to avoid. Despite my criticisms of the epilogue, Red Dead Redemption remains a masterclass in storytelling. Its blend of quiet moments, tragic inevitability, and complex characters delivers an unforgettable journey. John's story is about redemption, sacrifice, and the impossibility of outrunning the past, and that's why it's still remembered as one of gaming's greatest narratives.